This is an introduction to MACAT, a cybersecurity adversary simulation tool available at macat.io. I built this to run tests on my home network, and I think it might be useful for others, so I recently prepared it for release. It's available on Windows and macOS with a Linux version planned in the future. In this video, I'll show you how it works on Windows. To download MACAT, binary releases are available on the download page and also on GitHub. Windows may block the download since this is a new tool and I haven't signed the binaries yet. If so, just click the ... and keep, show more, and keep anyway. Before we install, what does MACAT do? It allows you to execute commands and procedures that adversaries might use to attack important assets like desktop and laptop computers, servers, cloud services, and more. It synchronizes with community-contributed content from projects like Atomic Red Team and the MITRE Enterprise Attack Framework. MACAT is designed to make adversary simulation easier for cybersecurity professionals like threat intelligence analysts, defenders, detection engineers, and others. After download, if you have blocking security tools like EDR, I recommend you put them in audit or logging only mode before running MACAT, as it will execute commands that might be flagged as malicious. Additionally, Windows Defender may block the download of MITRE Attack or Atomic Red Team content, so adding an exception is recommended. To do that, open Windows Security, go to Virus and Threat Protection, then add an exclusion for a folder. I'm going to install MACAT to see MACAT, so I added an exclusion for that folder. Next, to unpack and install MACAT, find and double-click the downloaded MSI. It might warn you the program is unrecognized. Click More Info and Run anyway. You'll click Next and then select the install folder location, Next again, Install. Click through a few additional screens to complete the installation. Then the application will automatically launch when you're done if you leave the box checked at the end. On getting started for the first time, MACAT will request you accept the EULA. Since MACAT is still in active development, I recommend you don't change any of the other toggles. These download content from the Atomic Red Team project and the MITRE Attack Framework, which are needed to run commands. Once that's complete, you can start creating and running simulations. During the first load, and depending on your download speed, you may need to wait a few seconds or a few minutes for the application to sync content from Atomic Red Team and MITRE Attack. Alright, let's try to create a quick simulation to see how this all works. We'll click the Add Procedure from Library button to browse available procedures to add to the simulation. I'm putting in a few benign commands to see how MACAT works. Hovering over procedure details will show you more information, and if they have available variables that can be configured, a red icon will show on their status bar. Clicking that icon will take you to variable configuration for that procedure. I've changed a directory to see MACAT for testing. You can also rename the simulation by double-clicking its tab at the top. Okay, I think I'm ready to run my test sim here. I'll click the Run Simulation button, and once I do, you'll see the simulation action buttons change to a running indicator, a skip procedure button, and a halt emulation button. For now, we won't worry about these, but they allow you to stop a simulation that's in progress. Additionally, output from each procedure will show in a dated tab on the execution logs pane on the right side of the application. Clicking a procedure highlights its corresponding log output. You can save a simulation to a TOML file by clicking the Save Simulation icon in the top left of the sim. This can be useful for source control or sharing with other people. There are buttons on the execution logs pane on the right side of the simulation page to show and hide different aspects of your resulting executed procedure output, and there are also inline controls to copy some of that output. I'll jump over to Managing Procedures now. You can get to the Library Procedures screen by clicking the folder icon on the left side of the application. There's a button to create procedures in the top right of the Library Procedures page here. You can create your own content just for you and your organization, or there are options to export procedure and simulation data for sharing. I'm going to create a simple contrived procedure that prints out some text just for testing. I'm filling out some categorization details for the procedure here. Each procedure you create should include MITRE Attack details, such as technique ID and tactic. It's also helpful to include CTI data if you have information on a specific threat actor you're trying to simulate. You can also add tags for information like the type of malware that might run the attack, for example, ransomware. This makes it easy to build broader ransomware simulations or to organize and prioritize the types of attacks you most want to defend against. Procedure commands, executors, and command variables can be easily configured here as well. Testing is one of the areas where this form is pretty helpful, so after you've configured all your commands and command variables, there's a test procedure control at the bottom to run your procedure in place and make sure it's behaving as you want. You can also add recommendations for detection, such as links to Sigma rules or a query language for hunting this attack. I'm just going to quickly filter and view the created procedure here. You can use the filters on the library procedures page to search through and manage all your procedure content from Atomic Red Team and that you've created or imported from other sources. I just clicked Edit on an Atomic Red Team test. You can modify existing procedures, and once you have a bunch of useful procedures, you might want to share them or publish them somewhere. From the library procedures page, there's an action button icon next to Edit that's described as Add to Bulk Procedure Export. If you click that, you'll see a red number in the Bulk Procedure Package icon in the top right of this screen. Clicking that icon will show you a list of procedures you're preparing to export, kind of like a shopping list on an e-commerce site. I'll add a few more procedures to export, and then I'll click the Bulk Export button at the bottom here, which will allow me to save this to a file. Now we'll do something really useful for tracking the results of these tests over time. We'll integrate directly with VECTR to record the results of our tests and all their output. If you click the Settings icon cog on the left-hand navigation, and then click Integrations at the top of the settings page, you can start filling out your VECTR instance details. You'll need to know the host name and port for the application URL. Once that's filled in, I'm going to need an API client ID and secret. I'll get started creating that in VECTR, but before I create the API key, I'll want to make sure that in VECTR I create an assessment or note one as a target for my MACAT simulation results. Then to create an API key, I'll go to User, Profile, and click API Keys. Then I'll create the key, and I'm going to just throw this into Notepad temporarily before I copy it into MACAT. I'll then put the client ID and secret in the MACAT fields and then turn on the Allow Self-Signed Certificates toggle for testing. After that, I need to choose a target assessment for this integration. First, I'll click the Test Connection button. Then for step 2, I'll choose the target VECTR environment for my assessment. Finally, I'll select the assessment target that I just created in VECTR. Once that's done, make sure you click Save in the bottom right, and you're ready to go. To send some of our simulation results to VECTR, we have to navigate back to the simulation screen. Once we've reviewed the results and decided on what we want to send to VECTR, we can click the now active Send Results to VECTR button in the right-hand Execution Logs pane. This will notify us if it's successful, and we can jump back over to VECTR to take a look at our recorded results. VECTR is going to record each set of simulation results as a campaign named for the simulation with the current date and time. VECTR now has complete detail of everything I just ran, and copies of the procedures are imported to VECTR as library test cases for future reuse and tracking. I can click through each of the recorded procedures as VECTR test cases and review operational details, check out the resulting execution output, and then record blue team defense results in VECTR for graphing things like overall defense success against these adversarial actions. So that's an introduction to how to use MACAT. There's a docs site available at docs.macat.io, which covers some of the features in more detail. MACAT is still in an early feature testing stage of development, so check it out and let me know what you think. Thanks.